The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Couple of different segments in this hour about NIL and a little bit about how schools handle it. We had the news yesterday about Texas Tech Alumni Group and donors and what they're doing. And Chris Level will join us, who's a part of their broadcast at 5:30 or so. But right now, Marty Coleman, Rubbing the Rock is the name of the website, covers Clemson. Of course, that then makes a lot of sense. He joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports and discuss kind of the purpose-driven NIL. Marty, thanks for your time. First of all, let me get your initial reaction about all the discussion about what's happening with conferences, and there's the ACC and what Clemson and Florida State and some of the Blue Bloods. Anything you think that's imminent because the grant of rights we know extends until 2037? Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I actually wish something was imminent, and I think most Clemson fans do, but everything we hear and read they're being very patient with their deliberations on what to do at Clemson. Fans are kind of, up in the air. They want something to happen, right? You see Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, UCLA and Southern Cal going to the Big Ten, and you kind of feel left out. And, while nothing appears to be imminent, who knows? 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we weren't sure that, or we had no idea actually that UCLA and USC were looking at the Big Ten. So keep refreshing your phone.
Marty, the ACC has big brands that can obviously move outside of Clemson. Miami, Florida State. Everybody's kind of attractive, but that grant of rights going. I mean, that's the thing they have to move slowly on and figure out, right? Because you can't just tell somebody that 13 years of money is just gone because you want it to be.
2036 sounds like a long way away, doesn't it, fellas? Yeah, and everything I've read is that's pretty ironclad, right? There's no easy way out that anybody has shown me or that I've seen or read about. So I think they're kind of stuck, right? And Dabo said today, there's a media day today at Clemson. He said they're just, it is what it is. And that statement means I can't do a lot about it right now. So he also said, of course, that's not his job. That's the president and athletic director's job to look into that. But when somebody tells me it is what it is, it means your options are limited.
Marty, there's no question last year Clemson, you almost as if the program should fold because of the year they had. They didn't play for the national championship or in the college, but they were still really, really good. What are your thoughts about who they have back and what will make them better and elite this year?
Well, first of all, I think the front seven, I don't think many people realize how many injuries Clemson had last year. Their bowl game with Iowa State, they had 27 scholarship players, and Dabo Swinney's son was the starting wide receiver, if that gives you any kind of idea how the season went. But there was a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball. Will Shipley missed a good part of the season. And by the way, thank you for the intro with Shipley scoring a touchdown. I threw my hands up in the air. But Will Shipley missed a good part of the season. Brian Brzee missed most of the season. The front seven for Clemson this year is going to probably be the best in the nation. I don't say that lightly. It'll be one of the best in the nation, I think. That is going to be the key. But the other key for me is DJ Uiagalelei not throwing pick sixes. There's one team that held the Georgia offense without a touchdown last year, and that was the Clemson Tigers. So they're going to rely on the defense, and hopefully DJ improves and doesn't throw pick sixes.
Do you feel like any of the teams in the ACC caught up to them a little bit last year? Or you mentioned the injuries and DJ not throwing picks and all of that. If that gets kind of resolved, will they continue their – I mean, they're a full step, if not two, ahead of most of the rest of the league.
Yeah, I think if they play up to their potential and they stay relatively injury-free, they're heavy favorites in the ACC. If you look up and down the roster, they recruit in the top 10 every season, right? They're number 4 right now in the 247 rankings. No one in the ACC is really close, and that's excluding Notre Dame. Obviously, he's not in the ACC, but they have the best roster, top to bottom, undoubtedly in the ACC. They've got to answer that quarterback question. They've got to answer some questions on the offensive line, but they're going to rely on defense. I think if they can answer the quarterback question, they're going to win the ACC and be a playoff team potentially.
Marty, as part of that quarterback question, I mean, here we are in the state of Texas. I have to ask you, Cade Klubnik, what's kind of the early review on him? Obviously, he's in the mix, so to speak, but how much is he, and what have been the early returns?
Well, Dabo said after the spring that DJ is the starting quarterback and has done nothing to lose that job. And about, I'd say 50% of the fan base went crazy about that statement. But if you know Dabo, he's going to say that after the spring game, right? He's not going to throw his quarterback under the bus. And I really honestly think that DJ is going to go out there September 5 against Georgia Tech on Labor Day night. Now, if you remember a few years ago, Kelly Bryant started the first game in 2018. After 4 games, it was Trevor Lawrence's show. Not saying that's what's going to happen here. I really don't know. I live in the Austin area. I don't know if you guys know that.
Okay.
But I've watched Cade Klubnik for 2 years on TV every Friday night, carve up teams, big and small, by 70 or 80 points. I think my son goes to Hayes, and I think they beat Hayes, who, by the way, was state runner-up in their division. I think they beat them by 65 points. Whether that translates to Clemson as a true freshman, I don't know. I don't think he's Trevor Lawrence, but I think he's really good, and we'll see what happens. We hear that DJ's lost. This is an interesting thing we heard today. DJ's lost 30 pounds. Cade has gained 16 since he showed up on campus. He was a skinny stick last year, even in Texas high school football, but he's up to 195 now. So we'll see what happens in the fall. But my belief is that DJ starts on September 5.
Marty, one of the reasons I did reach out to you as well was because of the NIL and the story you wrote, Clemson football, NIL, the Clemson way, the path less traveled. You don't hear much about it compared to perhaps some others. And I don't know if that's just because it's somewhat just they go about their business, or there's not a lot of social media like look at me, look at me. I don't know what it is, and we're all pro NIL. How come that has seemed so quiet, not for the Clemson fan base or others around Clemson, but it seems like that thing is kind of motoring along, but it's not getting a lot of attention?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that the players do have typical NIL deals, right? DJ Uyunglele has deals, I believe, with Taco Bell, and there's guys with jewelry shops and car dealerships and whatever. But the one in specific that I wrote about is called Tiger Impact, and it is a purpose-driven, charity-driven NIL program for Clemson players. And I want to also say this: it's not just football players. All sports are represented, from softball to golf to tennis. Every sport on campus, I think, is on there, or if not everyone, a lot of them are. But what this charity was born out of a chance meeting, or this NIL program out of a chance meeting last fall at the Clemson-Louisville game, where someone was told about a charity for cancer that he had never heard of and realized it needed support. Well, as they started talking more and more, the idea was born: how can we support all the charities that need support? And the idea came up to have Clemson athletes use their marketability to support charities. So the way this works is you donate to Tiger Impact, and I should say that, tigerimpact.org. You donate to Tiger Impact. They and the actual athletes have to apply online to represent Tiger Impact. And then Tiger Impact matches the charity with the athlete. Max Wagner, for example, is a baseball player who was chosen 42nd overall yesterday in the draft. He's part of this. And I don't know, he's from Green Bay, Wisconsin. and he has a charity in Green Bay that he's affiliated with. So, and the players have to do marketing for the charity, right? They just don't get the money for sending out a tweet. Now, maybe that is marketing these days. I don't know. But the players have to actually do marketing for the charities that they're supporting before they get any of the money. This charity's raised $5 million so far.
$5 million. And again, it's a charitable thing as well. Your thoughts, and we appreciate your time. Do you feel like then Clemson, if they need, I don't know, this is probably not the way Dabo wants to look at it, but if they have to get involved in something and a player wants whatever it is to come to Clemson, will Dabo turn his head, walk away? How will they handle that?
Well, Clemson recruits differently in the first place, right? They don't offer 9 running backs, 4 quarterbacks. If you remember in the Arch Manning sweepstakes, he went out early at Clemson, and Clemson moved on and offered 1 more quarterback, Chris Fazzino, and eventually got his commitment. Clemson does not offer a lot of guys, and I can tell you right now, they're not going to offer a high school junior $8 million in an NIL deal. That's just not the way they operate. Now, football fans will look at that and think that's to their detriment, and sometimes I would agree, but I'm also very proud of Clemson for the way they're handling this. You're not going to see Lamborghinis and Learjets, as we saw from Louisville a few weeks ago. What you're going to see is smaller deals around the community, such as this Tiger Impact. But there is NIL at Clemson. Don't be fooled by the media. Dabo's not against NIL. He's against giving a high school junior $8 million before he ever made a play in college.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate your time, Marty Coleman. Your voice was fine, by the way. You said it was a little bit scratchy. You did well. Thank you for your time. Marty Coleman, again, rubbing the rock, covers Clemson football, and what a run they have been on under Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, I got to tell you,